Well, welcome everybody. In this video we're going to take a look at a new feature in iOS 6 called Guided Access. What this feature does, it allows a parent, teacher, or administrator to limit an iOS device to a single app by disabling the home button, as well as restrict touch input on certain areas of the screen. So what we're going to be able to use Guided Access to do is just restrict students to a single app, disable specific areas of the screen, and disable the home button so you can't exit the app or take screenshots. So this is going to be used to help secure using SchoolNet for assessments. So in order to activate Guided Access, you're going to need to tap Settings, and then make sure you're on the General tab here on the left. Okay, moving down to the bottom, you'll find Accessibility. So I'm going to tap Accessibility. And then here under Learning, it says Guided Access. So we want to tap on Guided Access. And it may be off already, but we want to change this to on. And you're going to want to set a passcode. And this passcode is going to control the use of Guided Access and prevent someone from leaving an active session. So tap Set Passcode and enter a code. It's going to ask you to re-enter your passcode just to avoid mistypes. So make sure you remember this because it's extremely difficult to undo this if you don't have this passcode. Alright, enable screen sleep. This really doesn't matter. It just lets the iPad either go dark or not. So you can choose to leave that on or off. It doesn't really matter. So that's all you got to do to set up and activate Guided Access. So now let's talk about starting a Guided Access session. So go ahead and open up the app that you want to run. In this case, it'll be your web browser, and your students will have logged into SchoolNet already, waiting for their test passcode. To start a Guided Access session, we open the app, and then we triple-click the Home button. Okay, so just press the Home button 3 times in succession, and it opens up this Guided Access page. Now you'll see down at the bottom that hardware buttons are always off. So they can't press the home button, they can't take screenshots, they can't switch out of the app. Touch right here either blacks out the whole screen so you can't touch the screen. This would be used for viewing only. So we want to leave touch on because we want students to put in their answers. And what we can do here is actually circle areas of the screen we don't want students to touch. So we don't want students to be able to access any other websites during the test. So we just go ahead and circle all of the controls right there. And you can see it puts a grayed out box. So students won't be able to touch in this area. Don't worry if you didn't circle very well. You can always move this around using the little corner edges there. You can also put multiple areas and move them around, but for SchoolNet, pretty much you just need to disable the touch up at the top. Now, it's very important that motion gets turned off. Okay, so because we're disabling touch on part of the screen, if we allowed motion, it actually undoes the touch disabling. So we need to make sure that motion is off. Very, very important there. Okay, once you have all of these settings set correctly, you go ahead and press Start, and Guided Access is started. So you cannot touch up at the top, doesn't work, but you're still allowed to touch right in here. So then the student would be able to access the test with the passcode, and they'd be able to start their test. Okay, and then they'd be into their test. Notice they can't access any other websites. If they push the home button, it'll show up this, Guided Access is enabled, triple click the home button to exit. I'm trying, the 4-finger swipe to get to the rest of your open apps. It's not working. Okay, trying to swipe left and right to get to other apps. That's not working either. If I try to take a screenshot, okay, it may look like it did, but it actually did not take the screenshot because the home button is, of course, disabled. If a student pushes the sleep wake button, okay, it will go to sleep They slide to unlock, and it jumps them right back into guided access. So this also prevents students from messaging during the test, taking screenshots, and all notifications are also turned off, so nothing will show up at the top of the screen. Pretty much helps you to focus on one app at a time. Now, to end guided access, you have to triple click the home button again, and it brings up the passcode dialog. I'm going to put in the wrong passcode just so you can see what happens. Okay, it says incorrect passcode. You may try again after 10 seconds. If we continue putting in the wrong passcode, that time length gets longer and longer, up to 3 minutes in between tries. So I'm not going to demonstrate that for you because it can be taking up a lot of time there. So again, to end the guided access section, triple click the home button, type in the correct passcode, and it brings you back to the settings, and all you'd have to do is click end, and now guided access is ended. In order to disable guided access, you'll go back into settings, general, accessibility, guided access, and then you can turn it off right here. All right, so as you can see, that's going to greatly increase the security of using SchoolNet for assessments. And you could also use this with individual students if you wanted to lock them into Notability, for instance, while you're giving a lecture. If they're having trouble staying on task and playing video games or messaging or whatever else. So let's turn guided access back on. That's under Settings, General, Accessibility, Guided Access. Turn that on. Set a passcode. Re-enter your passcode. Go into the app you want to lock down. Triple click the home button. Okay. Circle any areas of the screen you don't want accessed. In this case, with Notability, I think accessing all the screen would be fine, and even rotating would be okay. So we'll click Start, and now guided access is started. So they would have access to all their notes here, but again, the home button wouldn't work, and all notifications would be turned off as well. Okay, to end the guided access session, triple click the home button, enter the passcode, hit end, and then your student would be able to access their device as usual. So guided access is going to work on any device with iOS 6, meaning iPad 1s are not going to work, and if your students haven't updated their iPads to iOS 6 and they're still running iOS 5 or lower, it will not work either. So you're going to want to make sure that your students do update to iOS 6 before you can use this. Alright, so that's using guided access on any device that has iOS 6.